cop's violent attack on a black disabled girl shocked the entire community. Layla Price lay on the cold concrete, her body writhing in pain as a uniformed officer's knee pressed into her back. Around them, bystanders screamed in protest, their phones raised to record the horrifying scene. Layla's tablet, shattered on the ground nearby, was a silent testament to the truth she had uncovered, a truth too dangerous for those in power to let her share. The girl, just 17, had been walking home from the library when Officer Grant confronted her. He accused Layla of tampering with police systems, an accusation she didn't even have time to deny before he threw her to the ground. Minutes later, her father, Marcus, arrived. His face was a mask of rage and heartbreak as he pushed through the gathering crowd. A retired Marine with years of combat experience, Marcus's instincts screamed for retaliation. Officer Grant looked up, his grip on Layla unwavering, daring Marcus to make a move. Marcus clenched his fists, his voice trembling with fury as he yelled, "Get off my daughter!" When the officer didn't move, Marcus surged forward, grabbing the man and shoving him aside. The force sent Grant stumbling, and for a fleeting moment, the onlookers cheered. But Marcus knew this wasn't over. In the days that followed, dark secrets unraveled, and the community learned just how far the corruption in their city's police department extended. Layla, a brilliant coder with a deep curiosity, had uncovered a program called Project Sentinel. It was a system designed to target and suppress dissent, especially from marginalized communities. Sentinel used surveillance, manipulation, and fabricated charges to silence activists. Layla had unknowingly stumbled into its crosshairs. The courtroom buzzed with tension as the case against Officer Grant began. Layla sat beside her father, her face bruised but defiant. Journalists filled the gallery, their pens scribbling furiously as protesters outside chanted for justice. Marcus's heart ached as he looked at his daughter, so young yet burdened with the weight of an entire community's fight. When Layla was called to testify, she moved slowly, her body still aching from the attack. Standing at the witness stand, she raised her right hand, her voice steady as she swore to tell the truth. The prosecutor began, "Please state your name for the record." "Layla Price." "Can you explain what you found regarding Project Sentinel?" Layla's hands trembled slightly as she adjusted the microphone. "It's a program designed to spy on people in low-income neighborhoods. It tracks their online activity, movements, and even private conversations. Then, they use that information to blackmail or arrest them." Her voice wavered, but she pressed on. "My mom, she was one of their targets before she died." The courtroom fell silent. Rachel Price, Marcus's late wife, had been a community organizer before her sudden death in what was labeled a car accident. Layla's voice cracked as she continued. She discovered that Sentinel was working with developers to force people out of their homes. They made it look like she lost control of her car, but the files I found show that her brakes were tampered with. Officer Grant's lawyer shot to his feet. "Objection, speculation," the prosecutor countered. "Your Honor, the files Miss Price found have been verified by independent experts." The judge, a stern woman with piercing eyes, studied the evidence before nodding. Objection overruled. Marcus's jaw tightened as he watched Layla hold her ground. Her bravery reminded him of Rachel's unrelenting spirit. Outside the courthouse, the protests grew louder, chants of justice for Rachel echoing through the streets. In the safety of their small apartment, Marcus and Layla huddled over her laptop, combing through the files again. Each new discovery stoked Marcus's anger. Names of activists who had disappeared, financial records linking police officers to shady developers, and explicit orders to target Rachel. "They've been doing this for years," Marcus muttered. "That's why they came after me," Layla said quietly. "They knew I was getting too close." Marcus placed a hand on her shoulder. "We'll finish what your mom started." As the trial continued, Layla became a symbol of resilience. Her testimony, combined with mounting evidence, began to unravel the carefully constructed facade of integrity the police department had maintained for decades. But the chief of police, Benjamin Hollis, the mastermind behind Sentinel, wasn't going down without a fight. Late one night, while Layla worked on securing backup copies of the files, their apartment was broken into. Marcus awoke to the sound of shattered glass and muffled voices. Grabbing the bat he kept under his bed, he moved toward the noise. 2 figures dressed in black rifled through Layla's desk, searching for the files. "Stop right there," Marcus roared, swinging the bat and striking one intruder on the arm. The other lunged at him, but years of military training kicked in. Marcus disarmed the man with swift precision, pinning him to the floor. "Dad!" Layla yelled, appearing in the doorway with her phone. "I called 911. The intruders fled, but not before Marcus managed to grab a badge from one of their pockets. He held it up, his face dark with fury. "They're cops." The next morning, Layla uploaded a video online, detailing Project Sentinel and how it had destroyed lives. "If anything happens to me or my dad," she said, staring directly into the camera, "you'll know who's responsible." The video went viral, drawing national attention. Activists, journalists, and even celebrities amplified her voice. But the spotlight brought new dangers. Anonymous threats flooded their inbox, and unmarked cars began circling their neighborhood. One evening, Sofia Vargas, an investigative journalist, knocked on their door. "I want to help," she said. Sofia had spent years exposing corruption in other cities and saw Layla's story as her next big case. Together, they organized the files into a comprehensive report, ready to release to major news outlets. Meanwhile, Marcus reached out to former military contacts, enlisting their help to protect Layla. They taught her defensive strategies and helped reinforce the apartment. But even with the added security, the pressure was immense. In the courtroom, the walls continued to close in on Chief Hollis. Witness after witness testified about the department's corruption. When Sofia presented the documents Layla had uncovered, Hollis's composure cracked. His lawyers scrambled to discredit the evidence, but the weight of the truth was undeniable. Then came the turning point. Layla stood once more in the courtroom, revealing a recording she had decrypted, a conversation between Hollis and a developer discussing Rachel Price. The room erupted in gasps as Hollis's voice played over the speakers. "She's getting too close. Make it look like an accident." Hollis's face drained of color. His lawyer demanded the evidence be dismissed, but the judge denied the motion. "The jury will consider this recording." Outside, protests reached a fever pitch. The city's central plaza was packed with people demanding justice. Signs reading, "Justice for Rachel" and "End Project Sentinel" filled the air as speakers called for systemic reform. As the jury deliberated, Layla and Marcus stood on the courthouse steps, surrounded by supporters. Marcus looked at his daughter, pride shining in his eyes. "Your mom would be so proud of you," he said. Layla smiled, though her eyes were weary. "I just want to make things right." When the verdict came, it sent shockwaves through the city. Chief Hollis was found guilty on multiple counts, including conspiracy, corruption, and accessory to murder. Officer Grant and several others faced charges as well. Project Sentinel was dismantled, and investigations into similar programs in other cities began. In the months that followed, Layla and Marcus worked tirelessly to rebuild their community. They launched a tech initiative to provide young people with the tools to protect their rights and speak out against injustice. On a sunny day in the plaza, Layla stood before a crowd, her mother's necklace gleaming around her neck. "This isn't just about me," she said. "It's about all of us. Standing up, speaking out, and never letting fear silence us again." Marcus watched from the sidelines, his heart swelling with pride. The fight had been long and brutal, but as he looked at his daughter, he knew it had been worth it. Together, they had turned pain into power, ensuring Rachel's legacy would never be forgotten.